Hi, I'm Chad with Move Forward Guitar. In this lesson, I'm going to show you how to break free of playing scale patterns in position by practicing the major pentatonic scale up and down the fretboard using random fingerings. So when you first learn a scale, you typically learn a pattern in a position. So a pattern just refers to the fingering, and the position refers to where you are on the fretboard. So in this lesson, we're going to talk about G major pentatonic. So if I was playing G major pentatonic, starting just with pattern 1, I'd play pattern 1 right here. And I would be in the second position because my first finger is in the second fret, and that's just referring to where I am on the fretboard. So I'm playing pattern 1 in second position. And what you would do, you'd learn pattern 1, then you'd learn pattern 2, and so on, and all the way up the fretboard, all the 5 different patterns, and then you learn how to connect them and visualize them up and down the fretboard and play that way. And that's a good way to start learning, because it allows you to build muscle memory and not have to think about the notes of the scale or the intervals, and you can do quite a bit without even learning the notes of your fretboard. And that's why you can get pretty advanced on guitar without even knowing all the notes on your fretboard or understanding intervals or anything, because you learn these patterns, you learn these shapes, and you're able to start playing right away doing that. But then you run into the problem when you want to get more advanced. You start running into difficulty as far as how do I not just play in a position. So if I'm playing over a G chord and I'm going to play the G major pentatonic pattern, how do I start in one pattern and connect to the next pattern and the next pattern and play up and down my fretboard without just sounding like I'm starting and playing in one position then playing in another position? It's really difficult not to just play in position and really be able to play fluidly up and down your fretboard. So a way that you can start breaking free of that is what I'm going to show you in this lesson. And what I'm going to do, instead of playing the G major pentatonic scale by playing patterns and then connecting the patterns up and down the fretboard, what we're going to do is we're just going to start with the G note, the lowest G note we can reach, and play up as high as we can reach in this scale. And typically, I've shown this with other scales where I would say start with the lowest note in the scale, but the problem with doing that in G major, if I'm doing G major pentatonic, if I start with the lowest note, it's just going to, that's a low E, it's just going to sound like E minor pentatonic, because E minor pentatonic and G major pentatonic share the same notes. So that's the only reason I'm starting on G, so it sounds more like the G major pentatonic instead of E minor pentatonic. So what we're going to do, we're going to start with the lowest G note, which is on the 3rd fret, 6th string, and we're going to play the scale up as high as we can reach and back down and up again without thinking of any pattern, without playing in any position. All we're thinking about are the notes of the scale. And the notes of the G major scale are G, A, B, D, E, and then it starts over. So what we're going to do is play those notes in order, but not in any type of position. So I might go, And so all I was doing is I was just playing the notes in order, but randomly. as far as fingering goes. I wasn't thinking, oh, I'm in this pattern, I'm in this pattern. I was just thinking, play those notes in order, whatever way I can, up as high as I can reach and back down as low as I can go. And on my way up, I would do it one way. On my way back down, I do it another way. On my way up again, I do it another way, and so on. I just do it as many different ways as I could, whether I was writing up one string, whether I was in one position for a second and then switching and so on. I would just think those notes in order up and down the fretboard, but without thinking patterns. And you can start really slowly, and like I said, the notes are G, A, B, D, E, and just start really slowly, and you can start by playing the note and saying the name. So I would go G, A, B, D, E, G, A, B, and so on, all the way up and back down as slow as I had to. We're not worried about speed or anything. You're just worried about being able to visualize this scale up and down your fretboard without relying on patterns or positions. And then once you get that down, once you can say the note names, then you can say the intervals, and this is really going to help you understand where all the intervals and notes on your fretboard are related to this scale and any scale that you practice this way, and it's going to open up the doors for playing complicated chords and scales and understanding how to improvise, understanding harmony. It's really going to start opening up your doors for that. So instead of saying the note names, I'd say the intervals as I play, and the intervals of the G major pentatonic scale are root, 2, 3, 5, 6, and then it repeats. And your 2 is the same as a 9, and your 6 is the same as a 13, but you can just say 2 and 6 to start. So instead of saying the note names, I would go root, 2, 3, 5, 6, root, 2, and so on, all the way up and back down. Just doing it as many times as I need to until I'm really comfortable with it, and until I can play it without having to really stall on any note. I can just say it and play it fluidly, not having to do it crazy fast, but just fluidly. And then once I could do that, I would start, instead of starting low and going as high as I can reach, I would just go in random order. But I'd start with the G note still, and I would play up and down, switching direction randomly. So it would be something like this. And so on. I would just go up and back down, switching at random times. It doesn't matter where you switch, just so you can switch direction anytime you want. And then once you feel comfortable in G major pentatonic, switch to the other keys and do the same thing, and just start out really slowly, and eventually you're really going to be able to visualize where every single note of your fretboard is, and you're going to be able to visualize all the notes of the G major pentatonic scale as you're playing. You're not going to rely on, oh, I need to think of this pattern, this pattern. You're just going to automatically be able to see where the notes are as you're playing the scale, and that's going to really open it up for you to play fluidly up and down your fretboard. And then the next thing you can do is, once you're feeling really comfortable playing them in order, put on a jam track of just a G major chord and play the scale up and down over it fluidly, trying to play in time. And once you can do that, just start randomly playing the notes. So instead of playing the notes in order, keep playing up and down the fretboard, but start making bigger jumps. So instead of playing G, A, B, and so on, you can go G, D, whatever, and do it up and down the fretboard, not in position, not with any pattern. And eventually you're going to start coming up with cool licks and lines that are going to sound really hip and really open up your playing and help you to become an advanced improviser and advanced guitarist. And watch out for other lessons where I'll dive deeper into this subject and give you more tips and tricks on what to do or things that you can do to really advance this. But this is a really good place to start. It's really going to start opening up your fretboard and what you can do musically on the guitar. And be sure to subscribe because we add at least one new lesson every day.